Hi guys, so I'm gonna make this quick. A little bit of backstory. About a month and a half ago, we got an email from my kids' school. They go to a charter school here in Arizona. I have an 8th grader this year and a 3rd grader this year. And they were asking if we would like to go in person or online. Now, online last year was a mess. It was a total disaster. My kids don't learn online. They are a book and paper kind of a kid, so we knew that the online classes weren't going to work. So we opted to do in class. The thing that they told us was that masks would need to be worn to school and from school, but not at school. There was also nothing else described. That was all that we were told. So we opted to do in class because I'm not terrified of COVID and I was okay with this. That's not what happened. So what I'm going to show you is the letter that I received from the school in a packet. Now, again, we have not heard anything in the last month and a half. Nothing. Okay? Zero changes to what we answered. Sorry, my hair's a mess. It's been a long ass day. And I've been dealing with this for about 24 hours since I got this packet in just pure chaos. Like, what are we going to do? What's going to happen? They changed everything. We have no availability. So we cannot do the online. It doesn't work for my kids. It's not healthy. But I'm also going to describe why per this packet. And the in-class is literally like a juvenile detention center. It is absolutely ridiculous. So here we go. Okay. All right, here we go. So I've got this nice and lit up so everybody can see it. I'm going to try and get through this as fast as I can. Hopefully it's not a 15-minute video, but it might just be that way. So this is the packet that I received. I received a bunch of other papers. One of them was just this is the whole thing in Spanish. And then I got the registration documentation also for my kids. But this is the packet for returning to school. And I'm going to explain all of this to you guys right now as to why this is aggravating. Because the first thing that I'm going to say is that we received this last night, and there's parents who haven't received it yet. In Arizona, the due date for signing up for an AES grant for parents who decide to homeschool instead of sending their kids to school or doing online learning, for parents who have kids with IEPs, they had to submit that paperwork by August 3rd. For that funding. We received this yesterday, which means that any parent who decides they don't want to do this and they want to homeschool because it's just not going to work for them, they can no longer apply for that that funding through the AES, and their kid with an IEP is now screwed. Literally, this school screwed them. Like, that's the first area of anger. But I'm going to go ahead and go through this because I want you to understand why I'm so angry about this. When we signed up a month and a half ago, the school sent out a questionnaire and said, hey, if we open our school, will you send your kid in person or do you want to do distance learning? The thing about distance learning is that it's only online. There's no books, there's no documentation, there's no papers, there's no workbooks. It's all online. And we realized that last March when we did this, we did not want to do online again. My kids don't work well with it. And I'm not terribly afraid of COVID, so I decided to send my kids back to school, call it a day, right? Nope, they changed everything. That entire questionnaire, none of this was on there. The one thing about the questionnaire that I will explain that I was okay with was that masks must be worn to school and out from school. So once you left the car and you got into the school, you could take your mask off. Same with leaving. However, as I will prove to you, that is obviously a giant, big, fat lie that they never came out and told us was going to be the case, and now kids are going to be screwed. Kids are going to be screwed. So let's go ahead and start with this. This is the welcome back letter, and they preschool is not offered. Sports are not going to be offered this year. Visitors or parents can't visit the class, which I don't agree with. If a parent wants to visit a class, they should be able to, especially if the teacher is an issue. Teachers, staff, and students are to be masked when on school grounds. That's the first time they've mentioned it, okay? That was never told to us. Not told to us. Not okay. I have a 7-year-old who gets panic attacks with a mask. She has a medical exemption. They still will not allow her, as I'll read later, and which is why I sent her back to school. So, field trips are canceled. Meet the Teacher is going to be on Zoom. We did not receive any other documentation. No who's your teacher, no supply list, no nothing. Nothing for the last month and a half, okay? Then you go back into here where it says, so this is a charter school. My kids wear a uniform every day to class. That's normal. That's what they do. However, uniforms are required for all students every day. This regulation applies to students who are engaged in distance learning environment. So distance learning at home, you have to be in your uniform. Do you know why that's upsetting? Because we have 10 days till class starts, and people who decided to do online learning, do you think they have uniforms? They're not cheap. Do you think they went out and bought them? No, they're doing distance learning. Stupid. Effing stupid. or attending class in person, which we knew. Distance learning is parallel this fall to our regular scheduled class, which means, as I'm going to point out right now, here is the schedule. This is the schedule. So your student, say you have a second grader, your student has to be on their Zoom meeting at 7:30 a.m. Not even breakfast at 7:30 a.m. Not having food at the table at 7:30 a.m. They have to be ready for school, sitting down at the table at 7:30 a.m., and they will be there for 6 hours until 1:30 p.m. 6 hours your kid is going to spend on their tablet or computer, sitting at a table, being quiet, because the only break that they're going to get is their lunch break and the 7 minutes that I will explain here shortly. 7:30 to 1:30, your kid doesn't get to move from the table. And here's why. I'll explain to you. Because even though we weren't going to do distance learning, this is the distance learning, and I want to go over this with you. So students will participate in learning through Zoom. Okay? So it's going to follow the exact same class. Failure to be visible, attentive during the class session may result in a lower grade or being reported. So if I sent my 8th grader to in class and I kept my third grader home because she can't wear a mask, he has to be there at 8:15. She has to be on at 8. I can't leave her home alone at 8, which means that she's going to be late, which means that they're going to count her as absent or tardy, and that's just stupid. Okay? So that's why that's stupid. Also, that's stupid because I have to pick up my third grader at 1:50 and then go back an hour later, which is just a nuisance. It's just stupid. It's just stupid. All of it's stupid. Sorry. Next one. All parent communication is through Class Dojo. Class Dojo, if you don't know this app, if you don't have kids who've used this is a giant pain in the effing ass. Pardon my French. It's a huge, huge issue. Huge. We should not be communicating through Class Dojo. Be prepared to participate in class Polygon. So basically, they have to unmute themselves. Make sure you can unmute yourself when speaking and mute yourself after speaking. Kindergartners and first graders and second graders, this is going to be impossible. We dealt with this in March. It's just stupid. It's going to be almost impossible for the kids to do. There's no way they're going to be able to do that on their own. There's no way. And there's no way parents are going to be able to be there every second. It's fucking stupid. Should be dressed following dress code. Again, people didn't buy uniforms. They were online. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Make sure you sit in a well-lit, quiet place with minimum background noise. Yeah, because if you have 4 kids all doing distance learning, that's going to happen. Be mindful what's going on behind you. Think about having a solid wall background. Really? Because, again, we're going to be able to pick this if we've got 4 kids. Emails will not be used for parents, which is stupid because Class Dojo is incredibly unreliable and horrible and awful. Failure. Failure, failure, failure. All right, here's the next part of failure. So this is the in-school. This is if you're sending your kid back to school. It's front and back. We're going to have fun. Preschool is not offered. Sports are not offered. Visitors can't visit their classrooms, which I don't agree with. I went over this already. Yay. So we went over that. Okay. This is returning back to school. I covered up the school name. We're not playing because I don't want stupid people. You want to contact the school, you can go for it. This document is developed. So this is all just basic COVID information. Here's all these symptoms, though, right? And it's saying if you have any of these symptoms, you shouldn't come to school. Headache, because school's not, really crappy right now. I didn't sleep well last night. Allergies. I ate something my stomach doesn't like. I'm nervous, and so I'm nauseous. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Stupid. Using a face covering to minimize dispersion of droplets from breathing, coughing, and sneezing. So that's 2. We were told masks were not required on campus. That's 2. Backpacks will not be allowed. So how are we getting homework to and from? If I don't want to do distance learning because I don't want my kids on the internet learning, how are we doing homeschool, or how are we doing homework unless we're not? But again, they didn't send any of this information with us. We have no idea what's happening. Literally, even all this information, and we still have so many flippin' questions. Visitors will not be permitted on campus. Again, not agreeing. Drivers will be asked to remain in their vehicles when dropping off or picking up students. Now, hold on, because that doesn't sound so bad, right? So stay in your car. However, there it is. Upon arrival at campus, all staff, students, and visitors will be required to have temperature checked and answer screening questions. Okay, so there's 1. No backpacks. Second time they've said no backpacks or book bags are permitted. Again, homework. How are we getting this to and from? Playgrounds are closed. Now, what they didn't tell you, and another reason I'm pissed, they didn't tell the parents in this packet or in any other email that there will be 7-minute walks every couple of hours randomly. They will allow the kids out of their desk seats to go walk around the hallway, social distancing, for 7 minutes. There's no playground. There's no playing. There's no interacting with your friends. There's nothing about being a kid. You get to walk in a hallway for 7 minutes. Hope you enjoy it. Cafeteria will only be used to prepare lunches for delivery to the classroom. Lunches are to be brought to school in a disposable bag. So if they want this so that nothing's going to and from, you can't put any kind of container. So like for me, my daughter has celiacs. I don't send chips and sandwiches with my kids to school. They get actual food. They can't, there's no way. I can't send any food with them. None. None that they would normally eat, because everything has to be disposable. Face masks are required for all students, staff, and visitors. That's the third one about masks. Number 3. Again, that was never mentioned to us after filling out the questionnaire. Not till now, 10 days before school starts. Each student's belongings will be separated from the others, because that's going to work for kindergartners and first graders. Enjoy that one. Assigned seating in classrooms will be implemented to assist with contact tracing, because we've contact traced in Arizona at all. We haven't. Let's see. Oh, here it is. Student seating will be marked with tape and arranged to maintain 6-foot social distancing. I inquired about this one at the same time that I inquired about this one. The 7-minute thing. I said, well, what about this? It's literally going to be like a 3x3 square that the student's desk is in the middle of, and they can't leave that square without permission. You tell a first grader they can't leave that square without permission, and you see what happens. Because hold on. We're not done yet. Meals will be served in the classroom instead of cafeteria. So again, your kid is going to be at school for 6 hours. Your first, second, third, kindergarten, going to be there for 6 hours. They are only going to leave their classroom to pee and to walk around the halls for 7 minutes. That's it. That's all they're going to do. Sports and after-school activities are currently suspended, but the Boys and Girls Club can go. The Boys and Girls Club can give medical mandates for the masks, right? The Boys and Girls Club can have sports, dodgeball, kickball, baseball, tag. They're doing it. Boys and Girls Club is open. Oh, yes, daycare and preschool are not open for 2021. Again, after-school care for parents who have to work isn't open, but Boys and Girls Club is. Anyway, students and staff are always required to wear masks. That's 4. That's 4 times that they've mentioned that. Any student has difficulty breathing or is incapable of physically removing their mask or will not wear cloth face coverings may pursue distance learning. So because my child has a medical issue where she can't wear a face mask, and I'm okay with her not wearing a face mask for a long-term time, she has to do distance learning, which she won't be able to do. It will not happen. I will not make my 7-year-old sit at a table for 6 hours on a tablet for classroom work. My kids aren't on a tablet for 6 hours anyway. It's just not freaking happening. That's great posture for our kids. Students who refuse to comply with safety protocols adopted for in-person learning will be assigned to an online learning program. So, your kid doesn't leave their mask on because they're 6 and 7 years old and want to have fun. Your kid won't sit in their square box because they're 6 and 7 years old. Your kid wants to share pencils with their friend, but of course they can't because they're 6 and because of this. They could be just sent home anyway because they're not following the rules. This is a dictatorship. This is ridiculous. Temperature and symptom screenings will be conducted by staff prior to entering the building. It will also be checked, let's see, as they walk up on campus or exit their vehicle, and an additional check will be done in the afternoon. So every day of school, 5 days a week, for God knows how long, or until the election is over, they will have to do this. Twice a day. Whatever. Next page. We're almost done. I promise. We're almost done. Here's what really pissed me off. I really kind of flew into a rage about this because I'll explain it here in a minute. My rage portion, which is here, because Florida, Texas, Georgia, Arizona, California how many other states have been found to be inflating their numbers, putting antibody in with active positive tests, can't report their stupid findings of COVID anyway. How many people have not gotten tested and gotten positive results? So I'm going to explain that piss off moment here in a minute. But CDC recommendations will be followed for travel outside of the state or country. Parents and guardians are required to notify school officials if travel is undertaken at any time during 2020-21. We are going on vacation. I already inquired about this. We will have to quarantine for 2 weeks. They can't go back to school for 2 weeks after we return. So they'll essentially miss like 20-something days of school because we have a family event that got pushed back because of COVID that is finally happening and that we're going to. Whatever. Lunches will be taken in the classroom. Again, this is what the third time we've heard about lunch boxes. They just keep like trying to reinforce this, shoving shit down your throat. There we go again. This is the third thing. Temperatures will be checked prior to exiting the vehicles. We understand. We get it. It's important. You're doing it a third time here. The social and emotional. It is important to us. We'll address their social emotional well-being will be addressed within each classroom as school reopens. Yes, because this doesn't look like a giant freaking mental health problem for every kid in school who's going to be dealing with going to a juvenile detention center, which is what this is. Even juvies get active time out in the yard. Even juvies aren't under this much scrutiny when going to a location. But your kids are. We're okay with this, right? It's all for the good of a virus that has a 95% recovery rate, a 0.0043% mortality rate across the country, but we're going to destroy childhoods. We're going to take their sports away. We're going to take their activities away. We're going to take their ability to be with their friends away because we're so scared. We're so scared. By the way, tuberculosis kills like 2 million people a year. I don't say people freaking the frick out there. So this is where I'm pissed off, okay? In accordance with state and local law and regulations, student administrators should notify local health officials, staff, and family members immediately of any case of COVID while maintaining confidentiality. So this says immediately of any case, right? Okay, so what's the case? Is it testing positive? Is it they might have COVID? What is it? Well, the school nurse will follow established screening protocols that will consult with public health officials, the state, and the CDC, multiple times CDC, to determine how best to handle students and staff who display, nope, not test positive, nope, display or develop. Well, what's a COVID-19 that's not an allergy? What are we going to do? Are we going to call the CDC if a child starts coughing in class because they have an allergy or they sneeze or they have a headache or they're tired and they fall asleep in class? Are we going to call the CDC? And is the CDC going to just lump the numbers in there without an actual positive test? Are they going to force me to test my child if they think they're displaying? This is overreach. This is overreach. If a nurse or somebody thinks that they're displaying signs of COVID, the parents should be contacted. The school should say they need to be tested. And if the test comes back negative, then they can come back to school. Not that you will report this display of a COVID symptom. Overreach. This is ridiculous. This is not going back to school. This is a dictatorship. This is unhealthy. This is stupid. And this is screwing our kids over. This is the bullshit that is happening right now. And it needs to end. It needs to end. This is not okay. I want to make something super drastically 100% clear. If you don't want to send your kid back to school because you're afraid of COVID or getting sick, or you have somebody in your house that's afraid, I'm not judging you. I'm not judging you. I don't think you're making a bad choice. That's your choice as a parent to make. However, I believe that we should all be able to make these choices. You can choose to go to a grocery store. You can choose to go to Home Depot. You can choose to go to Bed Bath & Beyond. You can choose to go to a restaurant for dinner. You can make these choices. Daycare centers are open. Boys and Girls Club is open, and they're not social distancing, and they're allowing medical exemptions. This is not okay. It is absolutely not okay to be doing this to our kids when some of us want our kids to go back for certain reasons. So if we want to send our kids back, we should not have to deal with sending them to a juvenile detention center, which is what this is. That is what this is, and it is not okay in any way, shape, or form. The school officials are going to hear from me. And the other thing that they're going to hear from me is about screwing parents out of the availability for kids who have IEPs to get the help they need because you didn't send your documentation out in time. Not to mention, you did not provide vital information in your documentation, like your 7-minute walk around the hallways that was nowhere in that packet. But yet when I asked, it was told of me. This is a failure. This is a failure for our kids. It's a failure. And we're going to have repercussions from it. Far more than COVID.